Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 7, entitled The Son of Drona Punished. Text 35. Mainam parthasi tratum brahma bandhum imam jahi. Mainam partharhasi tratum brahma bandhum imam jahi. Yo savanagha suptan avadhin nishibalakan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, Brahma Bandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. Purport. The word Brahma Bandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of a Brahmana but is not qualified to be called a Brahmana is addressed as the relative of a Brahmana and not as a Brahmana. The son of a High Court judge is not virtually a High Court judge, but there is no harm in addressing a High Court judge's son as a relative of the Honorable Justice. Therefore, as by birth only one does not become a High Court judge, so also one does not become a Brahmana simply by birthright, but by acquiring the necessary qualifications of a Brahmana. As the High Court judgeship is a post for the qualified man, so also the post of a Brahmana is attainable by qualification only. The Shastra enjoins that even if good qualifications are seen in a person born in a family other than that of a Brahmana, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahmana, and similarly, if a person born in the family of a Brahmana is void of Brahmanical qualification, then he must be treated as a non Brahmana, or, in better terms, a relative of a Brahmana. Lord Sri Krishna, the supreme authority of all religious principles, the Vedas, has personally pointed out these differences, and he is about to explain the reason for this in the following shlokas. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, we have been reading this chapter, and from the past few verses, we are seeing how both Lord Krishna and Arjuna have set out on a chariot to find out the culprit, the personality who actually killed the Upapandavas, the sons of Draupadi, in their state of sleep. And when they were traveling in their chariot, Arjuna sees a huge glaring effulgence in the sky, and then he offers prayers to Krishna and he requests Krishna to reveal the reason or the cause for the glaring effulgence in the sky. And Lord Krishna reveals that it was Ashwathama's Brahmastra, which he has released out of fear of his life to save himself. And Krishna also told Arjuna to release a Brahmastra to counteract the Brahmastra released by Ashwathama. And after doing that, Lord Krishna again tells Arjuna to retract both the Brahmastras, the Brahmastra released by Ashwathama and the one released by Arjuna. So on the instruction of Krishna, Arjuna retracts both the Brahmastras. And after that, we saw a verse in the previous session where both Krishna and Arjuna, they are angry. They are angry at Ashwathama because Ashwathama has done such a heinous, sinful activity of killing innocent boys in their sleep. So, but the difference between Arjuna's anger and Krishna's anger was very nicely highlighted in the previous shloka, where it was said that Arjuna's eyes were, uh, they were like red copper molten balls, right? So we saw that. So Arjuna's eyes are compared to balls of red copper. They were very angry. They were displaying anger. Whereas Krishna's eyes, they are described as Ambujekshanaha. Even though he was also angry, the Lord is also angry, but his anger was like, his eyes were like lotus petals. That means we had discussed this. In all circumstances, the Lord is very beautiful to look at. That is why the Lord is described as Madhuradhipati. He is the Lord of all sweetness. Even when he becomes angry, his beauty is very nice to behold. So Lord's anger is transcendental, whereas the anger of ordinary people like us, that is due to the influence of the three gunas. We are bound by the three modes of material nature, whereas the Lord is always above the influence of the three modes of material nature. So, to highlight this fact, it has been said that even though the Lord was angry, his eyes were as beautiful as a lotus petal. Now, coming to today's verse, Lord Krishna says something to Arjuna. Let us see what is that. Mainam ma enam, never unto him. Partha, O Arjuna, arhasi tratum. Arhasi means fit to, ought to. Tratum, give release. Brahma Bandhum imam jahi. Brahma Bandhu means the relative of a Brahmana. We have discussed this phrase before also. And in this purport that we just now read, Srila Prabhupada explains why Ashwathama is called as Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu means a person who is born in the family of a Brahmana, but he has no qualifications of a real Brahmana. So Ashwathama, he happened to be the son of the Brahmana Dronacharya, but he had no qualities of a real Brahmana. Now, what is the meaning of the word Brahmana? Brahma janati iti Brahmana. One who is conversant with the knowledge of Brahma Jnana, the knowledge about the absolute truth, spiritual knowledge. Such a person is called a Brahmana. A Brahmana is, one cannot become a Brahmana simply by taking birth in a Brahmana family or by wearing a 50 paisa thread. No, one cannot simply wear a sacred thread and say that I am a Brahmana. No, that's not the way. one has to acquire the qualifications of a Brahmana. That is very, very important. So Lord Krishna is wantingly addressing Ashwathama as Brahma Bandhu in this verse to point out to all of us that Ashwathama might have taken birth in the Brahmana family, but he has no qualification of a Brahmana. And the Lord does not accept such people as Ashwathama as real qualified Brahmanas. In the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha. The Lord says that I have created the four divisions called the four Varnas in the human society. And I have divided the human society into these four divisions, not based on birthright, but based on guna and karma, based on the qualities of people and their activities, karma. Krishna never says that I have divided the human society into four varnas based on their birth. He does not say that. He says guna karma vibhagashaha. This is very important. That means those people who are in the mode of goodness, sattva guna, and they are always earning, they are always in the process of cultivating knowledge, and they are distributing this knowledge to the entire society. They are called as Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas, what are their activities? Yajan, Patan, Patan, Dana, Pratigraha. These are the activities of a Brahmana. A Brahmana has to perform yajana, worship of the Supreme Lord, and he must help others to worship the Supreme Lord. Yajana. Yajana means to worship oneself. Yajana means to help others to worship the Lord. And then Patana, Patana. Patana means study of the Vedic scriptures. Patana means to help others to understand the meaning of the Vedic scriptures. That is Patana, Patana. And then Dana, Pratigraha. Dana means to give charity, and Pratigraha means to accept charity. A Brahmana, we have generally heard that Brahmanas accept charity. But here it is said Brahmana should also give charity. Why they should give charity? Because a Brahmana should not accumulate more necessities than it is required for him. If suppose a Brahmana receives a huge quantity of grains, he must keep only as much as required for him for that day, and he must give the rest to the others. This is the meaning of real Brahmana. A Brahmana should not engage in atyahara. Atyahara, ati ahara means overeating or accumulating more wealth than necessary. So these are all the strictures governing a real Brahmana. A Brahmana must always be peaceful. He must never have hankerings. He must be satisfied with whatever the Lord provides for him. He must never consider anybody to be his enemy. He must always deal with everybody in a peaceful manner. And he must help others always to cultivate spiritual knowledge and help them to become a devotee of the Lord. So these are all the qualifications of a real Brahmana. But unfortunately, Ashwathama, even though he was born in a Brahmana family, he did not have any of these qualifications. He was not at all peaceful. He was, on the contrary, he was considering the Pandavas to be his enemies. That means he did not know what is real dharma. He should have known that dharma is on the side of Pandavas because Krishna is on the side of dharma. Krishna always takes the side of dharma. So from this he should have understood that since Krishna is on the side of Pandavas, definitely the Pandavas are on the path of dharma. It is the Kauravas headed by Duryodhana who are on the path of adharma. This much discrimination also Ashwathama did not have. So Ashwathama actually represents the fate of or the state of Kali Yuga Brahmanas. Kali Yuga Brahmanas are like this. They only say that I am a Brahmana. I am born in a Brahmana family. I do some rituals. I am wearing sacred thread. All these advertisements they do, but actually they do not have real qualifications. See, they are not fixed in Brahma Jnana. So how can they be called as Brahmanas? Prabhupada gives a very nice analogy in the purport. Prabhupada says, the son of a high court judge, just because he happens to take birth as a son of a high court judge, he cannot be accepted as a high court judge. He must, if he wants to become a high court judge, then he must qualify himself. He must take up the degree course, LLB, he must complete, then he must work as an apprentice under a senior lawyer, and then he must practice being an advocate. And after some number of years, if he does well in his profession, he will be recommended to become a judge. Then he may become a high court judge. That means he must qualify. Just because I am the son of a high court judge, if I say I am also high court judge by birth, no, that is foolishness. Hmm? He may have all the facilities from childhood because he happens to take birth in a family where the father is a high court judge. The son, from his birth, from his childhood, he will have exposure to law, to being advocate, and all of that. He may have all those facilities and exposure, but that doesn't make him a high court judge. There's a very beautiful analogy that Srila Prabhupada gives. Actually, Srila Prabhupada gives wonderful examples and analogies through which we can understand various concepts. It is actually, it is mentioned in the scriptures, an acharya teaches by his personal example, by his behavior, plus the acharya also teaches complex uh, complex concepts mentioned in the scriptures through easy to understand examples and analogies. That is one of the traits of a bona fide acharya. He gives examples with which we can relate. Conditioned souls in this material world, we can relate with these examples, and then we will be able to appreciate the main concept. Right? See how Prabhupada explains that simply by taking birth in a Brahmana family, you cannot become a Brahmana. How does he explain? Through this High Court judge example. The son of a High Court judge, by default, by birth, cannot be called as a High Court judge. Just because he is born in that family, he must qualify. Similarly, to become a Brahmana, also one must qualify. This is very, very important. So here, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the greatest authority of Vedic knowledge, he does not accept Ashwathama as a Brahmana. Instead, he addresses Ashwathama as Brahma Bandhu, relative of a Brahmana. He's a relative, that's all. He's not a Brahmana. So he's telling, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, Mainam Partharhasi Tratum Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi. O Arjuna, you should not tolerate the doings of this Brahma Bandhu, Ashwathama. You should never forgive him. Don't forgive him, Krishna is telling here to Arjuna, because he has done such a grievous sin. What is that grievous sin? Krishna himself is telling. Yo asav, yo means yaha, he, this Ashwathama, asav, anagha, anagha saha. Anagha saha means faultless. Suptan avadhit nishi balakan. Balakan means the boys. Suptan, while they were sleeping. Avadhit, he has killed. Nishi, at night. And those were all innocent boys. They were sleeping. And this relative of a Brahmana, Ashwathama, he has gone and killed them. And they were all anagasaha, they were all faultless, innocent. and he has gone and killed. Hmm? So you should not show your mercy to him. Don't release this person, right? Actually, before this, Arjuna had actually bound Ashwathama with ropes that we have also discussed in one of the previous verses. Arjuna bound Ashwathama with ropes like one binds an animal. An animal is bound. Now, why Ashwathama was compared to an animal previously? Because he lacked discrimination. Any person who cannot distinguish what is right, what is not right, what is moral, what is immoral, what is religious, what is irreligious, such a person, even though he may be having a human body, he's actually as good as an animal. Say Pashu Bado Durachara. Such a person is a Pashu, he's an animal. So Ashwathama is compared to an animal and he was bound by ropes, like one binds an animal by Arjuna. So here Krishna himself is telling, don't show your mercy to this Brahma Bandhu. Actually, when one gets condemned by the Supreme Lord, uh, then he is thoroughly condemned. He is really a fallen soul. In fact, in the entire Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, you will never find an instance where Krishna became angry with someone and cursed that person. There is only one instance, that is Ashwathama. Ashwathama is the only person whom Krishna condemned and cursed. Hmm? Uh, there are so many other demons whom Krishna killed, but those demons who were killed by Krishna, they all got liberation because they saw Krishna in front of their eyes while quitting their body. They were touched by the transcendental hand of Krishna, so they all got liberation. Whereas Ashwathama is the only person who was not killed by Krishna, but he was actually cursed by Krishna. That we will see here in the future. One of the verses it comes. That means, hypocrisy is actually the most deadliest thing. In Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga is called an age of hypocrisy. It's an age of quarrel and hypocrisy. That means what people show themselves to be, portray themselves to be to the outside world, they're actually not that. Inside, they are something else. Outside, they pose themselves to be great personalities. That is rampant in Kali Yuga. So, Ashwathama represents the Kali Yuga hypocrites. He says, I am a son of a Brahmana. I am a Brahmana, he claims. He says that I am so powerful that I can use Brahmastra, but he has no power to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. So this is a very, very degraded state of being. So professing themselves to be great personalities, but within their character is questionable. Such kind of people are glorified in this age of darkness, Kali. That is the most unfortunate thing in this Kali Yuga. Real sadhus are condemned, but those who are hypocrites, those who have no real qualifications, they are glorified. But what is Krishna's teaching for all of us in this connection? Krishna says that you should thoroughly condemn a hypocrite like this, like Ashwathama. So Ashwathama was actually cursed by Krishna. Krishna does not, first of all, accept Ashwathama as a Brahmana itself. And then he is very much angry by the grievous activity performed by Ashwathama. Let us see further what Krishna says. Text 36. Mattam pramattam unmattam suptam balam striyam jadam prapannam viratham bhitam naripum hanti dharmavit. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation: a person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul. Purport: An enemy who does not resist is never killed by a warrior who knows the principles of religion. Formerly, battles were fought on the principles of religion and not for the sake of sense gratification. If the enemy happened to be intoxicated, asleep, etc., as above mentioned, he has never to be killed. He was never to be killed. These are some of the codes of religious war. Formerly, war was never declared by the whims of selfish political leaders. It was carried out on religious principles, free from all vices. Violence carried out on religious principles is far superior to so called non violence. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, Krishna is telling here to Arjuna few more things. Why Ashwathama is such a degraded person? Krishna is saying, Mattam pramattam unmattam. Mattam means one who is careless, one who is not prepared for fighting. Pramattam means one who is intoxicated, one who is in an intoxicated state of being. Unmattam means who is insane, who is mad. Suptam means a person who is sleeping. Balam means a child, a boy. Striyam means a woman. Jadam means a foolish person. Prapannam means a person who has seeked surrender, who has seeked shelter. And then Viratham, a person who has lost his ratha, chariot, on the battlefield. Bhitam means one who is afraid. Na ripum hanti dharmavit. Krishna is saying, such uh, 10 kinds of people, even though they may be one's enemy, ripum means enemy, na hanti, one should not kill. A person who knows dharmavit means one who knows the principles of dharma, will never kill these 10 kinds of people, even though they are his enemies. That is what is mentioned in the shloka by the Lord. That means there are certain principles to be followed even in war. That is called Dharma Yuddha. Dharma Yuddha means the war is declared between two parties, not for one's personal, not for their personal sense enjoyment, not for enhancing their uh, sense gratification, but the war is fought based on religious principles for the protection of dharma. For example, the battle of Kurukshetra. The Kauravas waged the war for sense gratification. They could have actually accepted the words of Krishna, and they could have given 5 villages to Pandavas. They would not bother them. They would happily uh, govern those 5 villages and live like Kshatriyas. But because of the adamant behavior, greed of Duryodhana, this war took place, the battle of Kurukshetra. So the Pandavas were fighting for the sake of dharma. They were fighting on the principles of dharma, whereas the Kauravas they were fighting merely for their sense enjoyment. So, from the point of view of the Pandavas, it was a dharma yuddha. And since dharma was on the side of the Pandavas, Krishna supported them, and eventually they became victorious. So, uh, the final day, the battle of Kurukshetra, the 18th day, there was a duel between Bhima and Duryodhana. There was a Gada Yuddha, the fight of maces, and it was properly fought with following whatever was the code of conduct. It was followed and it was fought, and rightfully Duryodhana was actually defeated. Somebody may say, didn't Bhima uh, transgress the code of conduct in the Gada Yuddha? by striking him on his thighs? The answer to this question is actually Bhima had taken a vow to break the thigh of Duryodhana. Therefore, it is the Kshatriya's duty to keep up his vow. And moreover, Duryodhana was fighting that Gada Yuddha, being protected by the Pativratya power of his mother Gandhari. So he was also actually not following the real codes of conduct. He had made his entire body very hard, like a diamond, because of the vision, because of the power of chastity of his mother Gandhari. This was known to Krishna. So therefore, Krishna reminded Bhima to strike Duryodhana's thigh because that was the only portion which was not seen by Gandhari. So that had not turned into power, it had not become hard. And moreover, Krishna reminded Bhima of his vow to actually break the thigh of uh, Duryodhana. So therefore, on the side of Bhima, it was rightful. Whatever he did was correct. So there, uh, after breaking the thigh of Duryodhana, Krishna told Bhima and others that let us leave him here. Hmm? Let him die with guilt. Let him actually repent for all the sinful activities that he has done. So they left him there and went away. So that should have been the proper conclusion of the battle of Kurukshetra. The main villain was now defeated and he was uh, about to die. But then this Ashwathama, uh, such an immature person, not immature, but he is a wicked person because of his association with Duryodhana and others. He took it upon himself as his responsibility to take revenge against the Pandavas. So he told, oh, before you die, I will bring the cut heads of the Pandavas. So saying like that, he was declared as the final commander of the Kaurava army. There was no army only. Where is the commander? But he was the only one-man army. He went and to the Pandava camp and killed those innocent boys, the sons of Draupadi, who were all sleeping. So this is a highly condemned act. Given that he is supposed to be a Brahmana, he should not have done this kind of a cowardly act, isn't it? So therefore, Krishna is telling here, a person who is dharma with knower of dharma, such a person, even if he has to fight against his enemy, he will follow certain rules and regulations. He will follow certain rules to fight against his own enemy. He will never kill a person who is sleeping. He will never kill children. He will never kill women. He will not kill a foolish person. He will not kill a mad person. He will not kill an intoxicated person. He will not kill a person who is not alert. He will not kill a person who has sought refuge and a person who has lost his chariot on the battlefield. He will also not kill a person uh, who is actually afraid, fearful. So these are the 10 kinds of people. A person who knows dharma will never kill, even if he is his enemy. But this Ashwathama, who is supposed to know dharma, now he has transgressed it. So he has not behaved like a dharmavit. Therefore, I am condemning him. This is Krishna's. That means when a person knowingly commits a sinful activity, even though he has knowledge that it is a sinful activity, that is a more grievous sin than a person innocently performing sinful activity. After knowing it, knowingly if we do, then it is actually very, very condemnable. It is very abominable. Krishna forgives the accidental fall down of a devotee, whereas Krishna never forgives Wantingly, if one commits sinful activities and falls down, Krishna will never ever forgive such a person. Even though Krishna is called an ocean of mercy, he's very compassionate, definitely, but we cannot take uh, we cannot take it for granted that anyway Krishna is merciful and I am a Krishna's devotee, so I can do all kinds of nonsense in the name of being a devotee and Krishna will forgive me. No, this is not the mood of a devotee. This is you're trying to misuse Krishna's compassion. This is not the right mood. This is not called serving Krishna as a devotee. Devotee means anukulyasya Krishnanushilanam. Anukulyasya means always behaving uh, in line with Krishna's desires. We should be Krishna Anukula. We should not be Krishna Pratikula. Anukula means favorable to the desires of Krishna. Pratikula means unfavorable to the desires of Krishna. We cannot simply justify, oh, Krishna is very merciful, he will forgive all my offenses. No, that's not the mood of a progressive devotee. A devotee should be very cautious while dealing with other devotees, while dealing with the holy name, while chanting, while dealing with the deity, while serving the Lord in the temple. One should be very, very careful. Uh, One should not perform seva aparadha or Vaishnava aparadha, nama aparadha, dhama aparadha. These are all offenses. One should not simply say that, anyway, Krishna is very merciful, he will forgive me. No. The example for this is Ashwathama. Of course, Ashwathama is not a devotee of the Lord, but still, he is supposed to be a Brahmana and he is supposed to know the intricacies of Dharma, but he behaved as a adharmi by killing the innocent boys when they were sleeping, and this was thoroughly condemned by Krishna. So here we see Krishna becomes angry at somebody not simply without any reason. If Krishna has to become angry at somebody, that means that person has to be very, very fallen, isn't it? So therefore, Ashwathama, being a so-called Brahmana, did not know the real principles of religion, and simply for the sake of keeping up his words to Duryodhana, he actually killed those children who were who were sleeping. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, formerly wars were never declared simply to satisfy the whims of a political leader. They were always carried on based on religious principles. That is very important. So, actually, if you see the Battle of Kurukshetra, before the Battle of Kurukshetra began, there was a meeting between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and the meeting was presided over by Bhishma Deva because he happened to be the senior most elderly person for the both parties. So in his presidentship, they came up with the rules and regulations based on which the battle will be fought. Hmm? They said equal competitors only will fight against each other. Hmm? That means a Maharathi will fight against a Maharathi only. A Maharathi should not go and kill a foot soldier. This is against Dharma. A foot soldier will fight against a foot soldier. A soldier on horseback will fight against another person on horseback. And one should not uh, use a weapon against a person who is retreating from the battlefield, who is going away. One should not attack from the back. And like this, they came up with certain rules and regulations. Now, as long as Bhishma Deva was the commander of the Kaurava army for the first 10 days, these rules and regulations were followed very strictly. But as soon as Bhishma fell down on the battlefield, on the bed of arrows created by Arjuna, with the very next day, when Dronacharya became the commander in chief of the battle from the Kaurava side, all these rules and regulations were actually not at all followed. They were ignored. In fact, one of the rules was the fight will be only between sunrise and sunset. After the sun sets, no war will be fought. This was followed until Bhishma Deva was there. But after that, you know, even night time they started attacking. It was all done from the Kaurava side only. First, it started from the Kaurava side. And naturally, Pandavas have to defend themselves. So the fight happened even during the night time. So all such transgressions happened. And a person, so one important thing that we should learn from this is in our daily practice of Krishna consciousness also, if we give a little leniency to our mind, it starts with smaller transgressions. Slowly, we will actually keep transgressing all the rules and regulations, and we will not even know, we will be far, far away from being a real devotee of the Lord. Therefore, it is very important for a devotee to be very mindful, to follow the rules and regulations given by the spiritual master very, very seriously. One should not take discount. Oh, if I don't chant, it's okay. Today, if I don't chant, it's okay. One day, if I don't read, it's okay. This okay, this chalta hai mentality is very, very harmful for a progressive sadhaka. One should never assume, oh, it's okay. One should not decide by himself. One should always seek guidance from a senior devotee who is more matured, and one should always seek guidance from spiritual authorities. Spiritual life means to put oneself under the guidance of a senior devotee. One should not think that I will decide myself. Now I know what I should do. That is a recipe for failure or fall down in spiritual life. One should never put trust on one's own mind. One should always consult with devotees and take their guidance, and then only one should do. So, once they started on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, once they started ignoring one rule, that led to breaking many, many rules. And very soon, the whole picture changed. Until Bhishma Deva, it was thoroughly followed. All those rules were followed. It was really like uh, the Dharma Yuddha. But afterwards, it slowly started becoming something else. So, a lesson for us is we should always be mindful. So, if we want to avoid offenses against devotees, offenses against the Lord, offenses against uh, the holy name, the Dham, we should strictly follow the etiquettes. We should never forget etiquettes. Etiquettes like whenever you enter the temple hall, you bow down in front of the Lord. That's an etiquette. We should never think that, oh, I know, I've been coming to this temple from 10 years. Now I don't have to bow down. This is all for new people. No, it's for everybody. Whenever we address a devotee, our mood should be that I'm coming to take association of the devotee. Oh, I know this devotee from so many years. What's the big deal? He's like my friend now. It's okay if I don't address him properly. No. So these kind of loose behavior will lead to our fall down. So therefore, we have to very, very carefully follow the etiquettes, Vaishnava etiquettes. And these Vaishnava etiquettes, when we follow properly, diligently, it will help us to become fixed up in bhakti and make swift advancement in devotional service. So another point of view we can see here, Krishna is very, very angry at Ashwathama because Ashwathama has actually killed the devotees. The Upapandavas, the sons of Draupadi, they were all sons of Pandavas. They were all devotees of the Lord. And Krishna never tolerates any offense or any misbehavior with the devotees. In fact, it is told in the scriptures that if one offends the Supreme Lord, one can actually um, repent for such offenses against the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name, by chanting. But if one offends a devotee of the Lord himself will never forgive such an offender. That is why Vaishnava Aparadha is one of the grievous offenses. Hmm. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compared this offenses against a Vaishnava to a mad elephant entering a well maintained garden. When a mad elephant enters a well maintained garden, no doubt the garden was maintained very well with so much of hard work, hours and hours of time has gone in to bring up the garden. But in a few moments, when the mad elephant enters the garden, it actually destroys the whole thing. In the same way, when we offend a devotee, either physically or mentally or by actions, all the advancement that we have made in Krishna consciousness for so many years, we would have taken so much of time and efforts to come to one stage in Krishna consciousness, some kind of a faith and devotion to Krishna, all that will be at a great risk uh, when we actually offend a devotee of the Lord. So the Lord is very angry at Ashwatthama because he has offended the devotees by killing their sons. So let us see what happens after this. Text 37. Swapranan yah parah pranai prapushnatyam aghrana khalaha tadvadastasya hi shreyo yaddoshadyatyadah puman. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. Purport. A life for a life is just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of another's life. Political morality is to punish a person by a death sentence in order to save a cruel person from going to hell. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. Such a death sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him, and it is said in the Smriti Shastras that men who are punished by the king on the principle of a life for a life are purified of all their sins, so much so that they may be eligible for being promoted to the planets of heaven. According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an animal is to be considered a murderer because animal food is never meant for the civilized man, whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. He says that in the act of killing an animal, there is a regular conspiracy by the party of sinners, and all of them are liable to be punished as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly. He who gives permission, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of the foodstuff, and at last he who eats such cooked animal food are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. No one can create a living being despite all advancement of material science, and therefore no one has the right to kill a living being by one's independent whims. For the animal eaters, the scriptures have sanctioned restricted animal sacrifices only, and such sanctions are there just to restrict the opening of slaughterhouses and not to encourage animal killing. The procedure under which animal sacrifice is allowed in the scriptures is good both for the animal sacrificed and the animal eaters. It is good for the animal in the sense that the sacrificed animal is at once promoted to the human form of life after being sacrificed at the altar, and the animal eater is saved from grosser types of sins, eating meats supplied by organized slaughterhouses, which are ghastly places for breeding all kinds of material afflictions to society, country, and the people in general. The material world is itself a place always full of anxieties, and by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. These are all words spoken by Krishna. So, to Arjuna, actually, we will get to know in the future that Krishna is actually testing Arjuna by putting him in such a condition where he has to kill the son of a Brahmana, and at the same time, how he upholds dharma, Krishna wants to know. And that is why the situation has been arranged by the Lord. So, Krishna is now uh, sort of encouraging Arjuna to actually take a very severe step against Ashwathama. Previously, Krishna told, don't show your mercy upon this Ashwathama because he has committed a very horrible sin. Now, Krishna is further telling, Swapranan yah parah pranaihi. Swapranan means one's own life. Parah pranaihi means at the cost of others' life. Prapushnati. Prapushnati means one who maintains properly. Agrinaha means shameless. Khalaha means wretched person. Tadvadaha, killing of such a person, tasyahi shreyaha, is actually for his own well-being. Yad doshat, doshat means by the fault. Yati adaha puman. Yati means he goes down, goes. Adaha means downwards. Puman, a person. So Krishna is saying a cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. It's a very important point here. So, Krishna is telling Ashwathama has done the most cruel act. Now, according to the principles of Manusmriti, such a murderer, he must be hanged to death. Capital punishment is the punishment that is actually uh, should be given to him. This is what the Manu Samhita, Manusmriti says, and Lord Krishna also is upholding this principle because he's saying, for his own good, it is good to kill the murderer. Why? Because when this person is, suppose he is forgiven, what he will do? His criminal mentality will still persist. He will go and murder some more people. That means he will get more sinful reactions. And he will also create so much of damage to others' lives and property. And not only that, according to Manusmriti, if the murderer is given a capital punishment, that means he is given punishment to death, then such a person will be saved from severely being punished by Yamaraja post his death. That means it is good for him. He has taken away somebody's life. The same thing should be done with him also. This is the law. So, according to the Vedic scriptures, one's karma, gahano karmana gatihi, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. We may say, oh, we are all, when we see some uh, people suffering around us, we think that, oh, these are all innocent people, why they are suffering? Actually, nobody enjoys or suffers without any reason. The law of karma makes sure that everybody gets what they deserve. Today, if somebody is enjoying or suffering, it is only because of their own past actions. So our actions have to be done with proper care and with proper guidance from the scriptures. Whimsically, if we act just to satisfy our own desires, our own mind and senses, if we act, we may get some immediate pleasure, but we will never be able to escape the laws of karma. We will get whatever we have done. As you sow, so shall you reap. If you sow a mango seed, you will get a mango tree. If you sow a neem seed, will you get a mango tree? No. So if we perform sinful activities, if we transgress the laws of karma, the result is suffering. So a cruel person who is maintaining his body at the cost of killing other animals, such a person, he may make muscles, he may build his muscles, six pack, eight pack muscles he may build. He may make so many Insta reels and get huge number of followers. A lot of people say, if I have to build muscles, I need protein. And to get protein, I need to eat eggs. I need to eat chicken and meat because only that gives me good amount of protein. So they justify saying that for the sake of my body's health, I'm killing the animals. But who gave you the right, sir? Who gave you the right? As Prabhupada mentions in the purport here, you don't have the right, you don't have the ability to produce life. Can you bring back any dead animal back to life? Do you have that capacity? You don't have. Then who gave you the right to kill animals? Hmm? So the laws of nature will not tolerate this. So if you are killing an animal, you will also have to face karma consequences at so many levels, individual level and society level and world at large. There will be so many consequences. Hmm? The scriptures mention that a person, the Sanskrit word we should understand, the Sanskrit word mamsa. What is the meaning? Mamsa means meat, flesh. If you break this word, mamsa, mam plus saha. Mam means me, saha means you. So mamsa means now I am eating the flesh of this animal. You are giving the flesh of your body for me to eat. In the next life, I will become the meat for you to eat. Mam saha. Me and you. It's an exchange offer actually. This the meat eaters do not know. Hmm? Suppose in the lifetime of a person, a person has eaten, say, 1,000 chickens. That means he has to take birth at least 1,000 times. And in each lifetime, he is born as some animal and he will be killed, he will be slaughtered. This is the cruel, this is how the stringent the laws of nature work. So, this, the so called people who say, I want protein, they don't understand this. Uh, Just because you are a intelligent person, you can make big slaughterhouses and you're using your technology, you can kill thousands of animals in one go. And just because these poor animals cannot speak, they cannot, they don't fight against you, you are taking advantage of their inability and you're killing them. And you're justifying saying that, I need protein. So this is not the way. So such a person has to actually face severe sinful reactions. Some sinful reactions are faced in the same lifetime, where many meat eaters, when people eat meat for a long period of time, you know, unnecessary fat also gets accumulated in their body, and that leads to many health hazards. You know, number one killer in this world is heart disease, and about 97% of heart patients, according to one statistics which I read some time back. About 90 to 97% of heart patients, they are addicted to meat eating. Of course, it doesn't mean vegetarians don't get heart disease, but they have a lower risk compared to those who are non-vegetarians. Now, these are all facts based on real research. Number two killer in this world is cancer. Cooked meat, fish, they contain carcinogens, cancer causing chemicals. And that's one of the biggest cancer causing agents. Cancer risk is there. So that means on an individual basis, sometimes in the same lifetime, one faces these sinful reactions in the form of deadly diseases. Hmm. Excess fat in the body can block the arteries, and that leads to many heart related complications. So, the point is uh, whether on an individual basis, on a physical level, or even on mental level, also. The in one of the sessions earlier, we had discussed this point. Meat in itself is not very tasty. So, to make that meat very tasty, they add a huge amount of spices. And these spices create a kind of craving. Meat in itself is very bland, it has no taste. So, the spices make it very tasty and it creates craving. It makes people addicted to meat. Like nowadays, we have KFC and McDonald's and all of these. They sell these meat-based food. Mainly, it is because of the spices that people get cravings for it and they go and eat it. So, what happens because of this? It has an adverse effect on the body, on the mind. So, people who eat lot of spicy food, they have a very bad temper. In fact, in one of the articles I read some time back, uh, a person had a lot of, everyone around him used to complain that this person has anger issues. For every small thing, this person becomes so angry and shouts and sometimes physically also beats people around. So when they went to a doctor, doctor happened to be a nutritionist also, and he happened to ask, what is your favorite food, and all that. So that person said, I eat a lot of meat. And how often? So every day. I cannot imagine my life without meat. So he said that unless you switch to a vegetarian diet and reduce the spices, you cannot actually come out of this, uh, this anger related issues. So this is what one of the articles I read long back was talking about. So the point is, it is going to affect us on an individual basis. And according to the scriptures, when you maintain huge number of slaughterhouses and kill animals big on a large scale, that is going to result in various natural calamities. Nature has its own way of restoring its balance. So if we kill animals on a large scale, nature also, boomerangs by coming up with, famines, pestilence, and droughts and floods and all those things. Like COVID, for example, it is one of the biggest uh, natural, nature created. Of course, there were human beings also behind it, but it spread like anything, and it took away so many lives. So one of the philosophers, the Western philosophers, George Bernard Shaw, he says, as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields. So when people consider the sense of taste as their prime purpose in life, they lose all good sense. They get addicted to so many things. And leaders, they take wrong decisions in a fit of anger to take revenge. If a leader of some country declares war against another country, just imagine the amount of danger innocent citizens will have to face. So that is why it is told in the Manusmriti that the killer of an animal, there are six kinds of killers of an animal. They're all called as murderers, not simply killers. You know, it is said in the script Mahabharata, this is from the Mahabharata. I'll just take another 5 minutes. He who gives permission to kill the animal, he who actually kills the animal, he who sells the animal, the flesh, he who cooks the animal, that flesh, and he who distributes that food stuff to others, and at last, the sixth person who actually purchases that and eats it. All these six people are called murderers of the animal, and all of them are equally liable to be punished. All of them are called meat eaters. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't actually go and hunt the animal and kill. It's already there, they're selling in KFC. Anyway, I just purchased and eat. I ate. I didn't kill. I'm not an animal killer, but I only like the taste." No, according to Mahabharata, you are also a conspirator in the in the murder of that animal, because through your money you are purchasing that flesh. So you are actually funding the murderers. So you are also going to be getting the sinful reaction. Hmm? So we have no right. All living entities, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am the father of all living entities. So how can I actually kill my own brother just to build my muscles, just to get a six-pack abs in my body? I can kill another brother. So this is the most cruel thing that anybody can do. So therefore, one should. Uh, so the Lord is saying in this shloka that a person who is very cruel, wretched person who maintains his own existence at the cost of others' lives, he deserves to be killed. And that is why the laws of karma, which are made by Krishna, are very stringent. You kill an animal and you also get killed. This is Mamsa. If you have seen one of the pictures in a book on the one of the books of Srila Prabhupada called Laws of Nature, if you have seen the book, the painting on the front page of that book, um, you know, you see a person holding a knife to kill an animal. And then an interesting part of that picture is the face of that person and the face of the animal are swapped, they are interchanged. That means the person is killing the animal, but in the next life, the animal will get an opportunity to kill that person. So this is tit for tat, laws of nature. So one should definitely not desire to maintain one's body by giving pain to other living entities. This is definitely not at all recommended by the Lord, and this will attract huge amount of sinful reactions. Now, specifically, the scriptures say that a person who kills a cow, now cow is one of our mothers. According to the scriptures, cow is one of our seven mothers. Every civilized human being has seven mothers, not just the mother who gave birth to him. But cow is also one of the mothers because we drink cow's milk. So, civilized human being drinks cow's milk, whereas an uncivilized human being, he cuts the cow and drinks the cow's blood, and he gets sinful reaction for that. So, the scriptures say that a person who kills a cow must suffer in the hell different kinds of punishment as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. See, as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow, he must actually suffer in hell for that many long period of time. So it's a very sinful activity. So to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, one must give up sinful activities. Without giving up sinful activities, one cannot make any advancement. One cannot please Krishna. So in our Krishna consciousness process, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that we avoid these four sinful activities: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. One must keep away from these four influences. Wherever these four practices are performed, there, these are the branch offices of Kali Purusha. Wherever these four activities are performed, Kali's influence will be the maximum in those places. Definitely, we should stay away from such places. We should give up these sinful activities and we must take up the blissful life of Krishna consciousness by chanting, by being in the association of devotees, by rendering service, and by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. We should engage in these four activities more and more. And when we chant Hare Krishna mantra nicely, attentively, we will develop that Shuddha Sattva, goodness. Uh, Naturally, by developing this pure goodness, we will stay away. We will not feel like killing any animal or eating fish, eating meat, or any of those things. The natural spiritual awakening ensures that we stay away from sinful activities. So, uh, therefore, we make advancement more and more in spiritual life by keeping away from sinful activities. One of the chapters in the same first chapter, it comes where Parikshit Maharaj, he was about to he punished Kali Purusha because he was actually trying to harass a cow and a ox, a bull. And Kali Purusha was beginning to show his effects in his kingdom. So Parikshit Maharaj said, "You'll go away from my kingdom. Don't stay in my kingdom." Then this Kali Purusha surrenders to Maharaj Parikshit. Please give me some place where I can stay. Then Maharaj Parikshit says, wherever these four sinful activities are performed, there you can stay. So he traveled all over the world. The whole earth was actually under the protection of Parikshit Maharaj at that time, 5,000 years ago. So Kalipurusha traveled all over the world in the entire length and breadth of his territory. He could not find any place where these four sinful activities were being performed. That was the kind of administration Maharaj Parikshit had. So the point is, if we actually stay away from these four sinful activities, we can be free from the influence of Kali. Even though we are living in Kali Yuga, we can be insulated from the effects of Kali and we can make spiritual advancement. So here, Krishna is telling Arjuna that this person has actually killed innocent sons, innocent children who were sleeping, and killing such a person is actually good for himself. Punishing him is for his own good. So, like this, Krishna is trying to encourage Arjuna that he must take harsh steps against the son of Drona, Ashwathama. So, we will see in the next session what happens after that and how uh, Krishna puts Arjuna into test. So, after that, now Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to kill Ashwathama. But after Ashwathama was presented in front of Draupadi, Draupadi says some more things which are contradicting what Krishna said. So Draupadi says you should not kill. Please don't kill this Ashwathama. So now Arjuna comes into a dilemma. Krishna told, kill Ashwathama. Draupadi is telling, don't kill Ashwathama. So very intelligently, how does Arjuna come out of this dilemma, and intelligently how he follows both Krishna's orders and Draupadi's request? That is very interesting for us to note. That comes in some of the coming verses. It will come. We will discuss about that. It shows how Arjuna um, always want to follow what Krishna says. Arjuna never goes against Krishna's instructions. At the same time, he is considerate to what Draupadi, the wailing mother of the children who died, what she says also Arjuna considers that. So he comes up with some unique solution to deal with, to punish Ashwathama. So we shall see that in the coming sessions. Thank you very much for your valuable time. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.